Everyone, this is the last sections for the course, chapter 26, section 2 to 4. We're going to end after this, so we'll have some kind of assessment next week. I don't know, maybe we're not going to have a final of any sort, but maybe something you get to pick something from the course and expand on it. People have given me good feedback on the PowerPoint presentations we've gotten to do. But if you have an opinion on that, please email me, let me know, or write a comment in Google Classroom. But this is actually a pretty simple section to end with. We talked about Bill Clinton last week. We're going to talk about the 90s and especially technology today, because this is when computers got big, and this is when the service industry and the tech industry really get big. We're gonna start to see factories. They're done. They're almost completely done by this point. We're going to move into service industry, teachers and nurses and lawyers and medical. That stuff that's really big today. A lot of jobs in America for that. That you need within your own country, we're going to do. Computers, become a household item. That's a lot of knowledge at your fingertips. I mean, you guys have, and that started having in the 90s, of being able to look things up on the internet. The internet's going to come to fruition in the late 90s, early 2000s. So we'll see technology get so big that the NASDAQ is started. That's a technology stock index for stocks. And kind of with this improvement is the income gap is going to grow. Something we would have gotten more in depth into had we been in the classroom. Corporations are going to start downsizing in the early 2000s by cutting employees, right? Basically, what's the minimum amount of employees they can have to still get the maximum amount of money? And so people are going to lose their jobs. Massive amount of people are losing their jobs. And more Americans are going to be below the poverty line than have ever been in American history. We're going to have a large disparity between the rich and the poor. And so this is going to lead to multiple recessions in the 2000s, something we're not going to quite get to, unfortunately, with our time. The international economy, the World Trade Organization, WTO, we're still involved in that. That was created to resolve trade disputes. So, like, if one company in America is trading with a company from India, how do you resolve it if they have a problem? It's not really like a legal means. It's two different countries. So the WTO was kind of big companies, multinational companies, make this organization to deal with problems. The problem is, it's not democratic. There's no voting. You and me, we don't have a say in the WTO. All right. So that's kind of a problem that a lot of people have with it. Is it's kind of rich people, deciding things for the economies that affect everyone else. So something that makes a lot of sense with the current predicament, but something that started in the 90s was telecommuting, was working from home. Now with the technology, you could do that. I think we're going to see a boom in telecommunication. After this, I think a lot of companies, that just happened with Twitter. Twitter said, all our employees can work from home forever because they've been as productive, if not more productive, than when we had them go to the office. Why do they have to go to the office? I think you have a lot of companies that do this now after seeing productivity sometimes increase. A lot of studies have said that people actually work more from home because they feel like they have to work that 8 hours, right? Whereas at work, maybe you can. Those of you who have jobs, maybe you're working, but for like 20 minutes or so, you're just kind of talking to a coworker. You're not really doing work, but you're getting paid for it. When you're at home, you feel like, I got to do this work. I got to put in the time. It's good. Or they realize it's about the work being done and not the time that is key. So, kind of interesting from that. And a big problem with technology that we have is Congress usually fairly clueless about technology and the implications. Congress basically gave waivers to a lot of these big tech companies to do whatever they wanted. If you remember back from middle school about, trusts and monopolies, that was a big problem with the steel industry and the coal industry and all that. But that's going to start changing because Congress doesn't really know how to deal with tech companies. Is that a monopoly? Is it not? I don't really know what a computer is, so they can do whatever they want. This is going to lead to tech companies getting bigger and bigger, having monopolies that can't be legislated. Microsoft was a big one while I was growing up because Mac basically died, and every computer had Windows, had to have Windows or wouldn't operate. So, is that a monopoly? Yeah. But there was no real legislation for it. And we see this happen today when, internet companies, ISPs, or cable companies or tech companies lobby Congress to pass a law, or the government lobbies Congress to pass a law to give them more freedom to kind of look into your private information. That's something that's happening right now. There's a bill in Congress about that, so that could be an issue. The other side of that is, well, when you have computers, when you have this, you have hacking and piracy and all of this. Congress will crack down on that because those big companies are giving the money. Are giving the money to do that. So that's something we continue to see today. If we were in school, I kind of would go through some of the websites and products of the 90s and 2000s, and a lot of them that were pirating music. Napster was a big one while I was growing up. You could download anything for free. That got prosecuted, so it happened. We also had a lot of scientific discovery, and this time genetic engineering became a thing, and there was some, basically something that we talk about today, GMOs for foods, genetically modified organisms. Some of it very good, some of it maybe unknown, but the FDA has said it was safe. You didn't have to tell people about it. That's a fight that still happens today. Space, the International Space Station was built. America and multiple countries contributed to that. And then one of the big one was cloning. Dolly the sheep was cloned. We had a cloned sheep, and this technology was taking off, and especially in the UK. One of the big questions was, is this ethical? Should we be able? What if we could clone a human? Should we be able to do it? And so it's actually been banned in the United States, cloning research, but other countries are continuing with that. So we'll see. Changing landscape. A lot of things we've talked about happening in the past continue to happen. Urban flight, people leaving cities for the suburbs, leaving to gentrification. Gentrification being, well, what if we take some of these, rundown areas, build them up and sell them to wealthy people who will move in, and then what happens? Well, the people of color and the people who are poor are displaced. They are homeless. They have nowhere to go, and you create some more problems. So cities would lower taxes, try to get people back, and then your schools suck, and your police officers aren't very good. They're not getting paid very much. So it's a give and take that happens all the time when people leave cities. It can be a problem. But new medical technology, Americans are living longer, the population's older. We see that continue today. And then immigration is kind of the last thing. This is what one of your questions will be on. I kind of want your opinion of immigration. It's become another hot button topic in more recent years. But there was a large influx of immigrants into the United States during the 1990s and 2000s, from Latin America, from Asia, and even from Eastern Europe. And a lot of people were against this and wanted to stop, immigrants from coming in the country. And, a lot of it was illegal immigration. And, illegal immigration is a topic, like I said, that's come up recently and been something that President Trump's been very, very vocal on. But, illegal immigration, I think sometimes we think of that and we think of people from Mexico, jumping over the border, and they're in the United States now. Most illegal immigration, about 75% of it, is people here legally that just stay longer. So, if you go to college in the United States, you can come from another country, go to college. You get, a green card to be here for study, and you can stay for a certain amount of time. A lot of times, there are people that were here, studied, got an internship, got a job, and, their time's up. What do? A lot of them just stay. They should keep their job. They have a family, right? Now, I remember we've talked about the Bracero program. There are a lot of Mexican farm workers who were here legally. The government brought them here that just stayed and became illegal immigrants. So, that's a question, right? It's one thing if someone's jumping over the border illegally. It's one thing if someone has been here, been a productive member of the society, paid taxes, all that stuff, and then just out staying their green card. So, Proposition 187 was kind of a big sticking point back then. Should we cut education and services for illegal immigrants, right? Now, a lot of services that we think of today, like something like welfare or things like that, you have to have a social security card, so you can't be an illegal immigrant. But public education is one where you don't. Any child in America has the right to a public education. So, that's a service, right? That's provided for every child, no matter how much money you have. And that was one of the big pieces to this. And the last point is that, and then this projection is still on. It's been on, for the past 10 years, that the white majority will be gone in 2043. And so in about 20 some years, that there will no longer be a majority race in America. That there will not be a race over 50%. So something to keep in mind, and definitely a thought. So I want to get your thoughts on that and a couple of those things. So do the Google form. Make sure you do the guide of reading. Like I said, it'll be the last guide of reading, probably last Google form. Might have one of the very last week of school. But this will be the last section. So next week we'll do some type of assessment. I'll post about that. And then the last week it'll be something kind of simple for you. So if you have questions, shoot me an email, s.allen@ksd.org, and hope to talk to everyone soon.